You think monsters only live in the deep ocean? You're wrong. The most terrifying monster is hidden in a museum, and it's a state fossil from Illinois, USA. Even more outrageous, scientists have studied it for 70 years and still don't know what it is. It's not a fish, not an insect, and doesn't even match any mollusk. In 2016, Nature published a paper concluding with just one word: unclassifiable. What does that mean? There are over 8.7 million known species on Earth, and every single one has a relative. But the Tully Monster is like something dropped from another planet, standing alone outside of evolution, unknown to anyone. Even more bizarrely, its eyes are on two 15-centimeter-long fleshy rods that can swing left and right like periscopes. Its mouth is hidden at the end of a 30-centimeter-long trunk containing 8 barbed teeth. In 2019, a paleontologist made a blunt observation. This thing is like someone randomly piecing together the bodies of a snail, an octopus, and an electric eel. The problem is, its body structure completely defies common sense, and it has no relatives on Earth. This monster, which existed for 300 million years, suddenly vanished. How did it come about, and why did it disappear so completely? But do you know what's most terrifying? Over 35,000 fossils of this thing have been unearthed worldwide. To put that into perspective, there are only a few dozen Tyrannosaurus rex fossils globally, while this thing is so plentiful that locals sell it as souvenirs. But the more fossils there are, the deeper the mystery becomes, because each fossil clearly tells scientists, "This is what I look like. Guess what it looks like." The story begins in the summer of 1958 in Illinois, USA. An amateur fossil enthusiast named Francis Tully was prying rocks in an abandoned coal mine when suddenly an iron ore nodule cracked open. Tully froze, staring at what was inside the rock for a full 3 seconds. It wasn't a common prehistoric fern, nor a small fish fossil, but a strange creature with horizontal eyes and an elephant's trunk. Tully quickly took the fossil to the Field Museum in Chicago. The paleontologist who received him looked at it for 5 minutes, speechless, not from excitement, but from complete mental blank. You know, identifying fossils is for professionals, like a doctor looking at an X-ray and immediately spotting the problem. But this thing is different. Museum experts studied it for a full 10 years, but no one dared to categorize it. Finally, the scientists collectively surrendered and called it the Tully Monster. This is an extremely rare surrender in the history of biology, because giving a creature the name monster is tantamount to publicly admitting that we don't understand it. So, what makes it so strange? Let's zoom in and take a closer look. Its body resembles a flattened cigar, 15 to 35 centimeters long, with a smooth surface as if coated with lubricant. It has a triangular tail fin, which looks relatively normal. But when you shift your gaze to its head, the scene instantly transforms into a horror movie. Its eyes aren't on its face, but rather attached to the ends of 2 horizontally extending rigid rods, like 2 light bulbs welded to a barbell. In 2018, Yale University used computer simulations to study its field of vision and found that these barbell eyes give it nearly 320 degrees of stereoscopic vision. Any predator that tries to ambush it from the side, behind, or even above appears as if in slow motion to it. Even modern submarine periscopes aren't as advanced as this, but the most terrifying weapon is yet to come. Its head extends a long, thin snout, about a third the length of its body. This snout is like a flexible straw, but instead of a straw for drinking milk tea, it's a pincer-like mouth filled with sharp teeth. Imagine you're a small fish leisurely swimming in murky water when suddenly a toothed syringe silently emerges from the darkness. Before you can react, it pierces your body, paralyzing you and rendering you immobile. You become its lunch. This isn't science fiction. This is a real hunting scene that played out every day millions of years ago. After scientists had been pondering its appearance for over half a century, in 2016, a research team at Yale University finally couldn't sit still. They used the most advanced synchrotron radiation scanning technology at the time to conduct a thorough scan of over 1,200 fossils of the Tully Monster. The result was the discovery of a thin, white line in the center of its body. The team excitedly announced in Nature that this thing had a notochord. It was a vertebrate, an ancient relative of the lamprey. The entire paleontological community was abuzz. If true, it meant that our vertebrate family to which we belong had such a bizarrely looking distant cousin 300 million years ago. But the excitement lasted only a year. In 2017, another group of scientists jumped in and fiercely criticized the theory. They pointed out major flaws in the Yale team's conclusions. Vertebrates' notochords should be long and slender, extending straight throughout the entire body. The notochord of the Tully Monster should be long and slender, extending straight throughout the entire body. But the notochord of the Tully Monster only stopped at the head. This completely contradicted the basic characteristics of vertebrates, and the debate reached a stalemate. Then, in 2023, a team from the University of Tokyo arrived with even more advanced technology. They used 3D laser scanning to conduct ultra-detailed analysis of 153 specimens, discovering a fatal detail. The Tully Monster's body in front of its eyes was segmented. What does this mean? From fish to humans, the head and torso of all vertebrates are continuous, integral structures. The head and torso of all vertebrates are continuous, integral structures. There is absolutely no way such a segmented body like that of a stick insect could exist. This discovery was like a bucket of ice water, completely extinguishing the vertebrate hypothesis. 70 years have passed, and we've used laser microscopes, supercomputers, and synchrotrons, yet we still don't know what it is. This frustration is like using the most powerful decoder in the universe to decipher an alien signal, only to find it was just a string of random gibberish drawn by the creator. So, why did the Tully Monster evolve into this grotesque form? This goes back to its era, the late Carboniferous period, 310 million years ago. Earth was practically an asylum of life evolution. At that time, the oxygen concentration in the atmosphere was as high as 35%, 1.6 times that of today. This high oxygen environment caused a surge in the metabolic rate of organisms, allowing them to grow larger and evolve faster. Giant dragonflies had wingspans of up to 70 centimeters, bigger than your face. Millipedes grew to over 2 meters long, roaming like armored vehicles. Scorpions could grow to half a meter long and were extremely venomous. A new study from the University of Missouri in July 2025 revealed that the Mason Creek, where the Tully Monster lived, actually contained 3 completely different microenvironments. A freshwater area near the coast, a seawater area further offshore, and a mixed transition zone between the two. Perhaps it was this diversity and instability of the environment that led to this phenomenon. Forced by the need for rapid adaptation and frantic innovation, life forms like the Tully Monster emerged, defying conventional norms. In that era, life had no fixed template. Nature was like a director with an unlimited budget, filming however it pleased. But an even more bizarre mystery lies in the later 35,000 fossils. Not a single juvenile or egg was found. What does this mean? Perhaps it never had a juvenile stage, or its reproductive methods were completely beyond our imagination. There's also an even more terrifying possibility. Its juveniles and adults looked entirely different. We may have already unearthed juvenile fossils, but simply couldn't recognize them as Tully Monster's offspring. Just thinking about it sends chills down your spine, right? The Tully Monster roamed the Mazan Creek for approximately 30 million years, then suddenly disappeared 280 million years ago, leaving no descendants and not evolving into other species. It simply vanished from the Earth. Scientists speculate that sea level changes may have caused its habitat to disappear, or perhaps the emergence of more powerful predators occurred. But whatever the reason, this once dominant marine killer ultimately succumbed to time. However, the lessons left by the Tully Monster are far more important than its extinction. Its absurd appearance tells us evolution is never a solemn march towards perfect humanity. It's a chaotic, random, and sometimes even absurd creation of passion. It doesn't matter what kind of monster it looks like, as long as it can survive one more day in this cruel universe. The Tully Monster doesn't need to conform to our classification system, because it is proof of the infinite possibilities of life. When we stare at its fossils with confusion or even unease, we may be touching upon the truest essence of evolution. No script, no preset rules, no so-called correct direction. Only survival itself is the sole truth. This 300-million-year-old monster still coldly stares at us with its barbell-like eyes, as if asking, "You newcomers, do you really think you understand this world?"